Hey everybody, welcome to our monthly community Zoom call. Tonight's topic is actually going to be a client spotlight with Jessica Johnson, who's been with Thriving Lives and working with Renee for how long has it been now? About a year and a half.
Since August of 2023.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
My
that's
very
right.
first client.
Yeah. Yes, yes, very first client. So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
yeah, you've been with. So if my daughter just turned 18 months old, then you've been with here with Thriving Lives for 19 months. So that's badass. That's awesome. So we're
Yeah.
gonna hear all about Jessica's story. Jessica, thanks for being on the call with us today and being open to sharing, everything that's been a struggle, a success, and kind of what's got you to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.
Of course, of course, of course. Before we get diving into all that stuff, though, we've had a whole month go by since our last one. So Renee, fill us in on what's going on in Renee's world right now.
Um, Renee's world has been turned upside down. I dropped a 45-pound plate on my toe on Saturday at the gym. So I am in a boot and I can't really walk. Um, so as someone who is at the gym or moving usually 7 days a week, this is a big adjustment, mentally and physically, and just kind of all entangling in that. Still trying to kind of do what I can as far as like I was able to meal prep. I do have my like typical groceries and such. Um, I will just have to kind of figure it out day by day as far as like what I can do, what I can't do. Um, it does hurt to be on my feet for a long time, so like work is hard. I took the last 2 days off. Um, and I plan to start doing like upper body either on Friday or Monday or Saturday or something. I want to just go try it out and see how that goes. But I don't know because my foot just throbs at the moment, so that kind of is difficult. But I think the other tough thing was I had just started a cut like a month before this, and I was just now starting to see results. And if you know, the first month of a cut is the hardest when it's like you don't really see results. And then finally, I started to see results and it was going really well. And I was happy at least 10,000 steps a day, if not more. Um, and so this will be a big change. I've had no steps the last 2 days, just completely resting. Um, and I still am on my cut calories pretty much. But again, it's not really going to do much because I'm not being active. And so mentally this will be a big challenge for me. I'm struggling with it. I don't really know how else I feel about it yet at the moment. I mean, it sucks, but it is what it is. It's my first gym injury. I did have to take like 2 weeks off like a year ago when I had like a little incision removed on my leg, but that was 2 weeks and I knew it was 2 weeks. Whereas this is kind of like I don't know when my leg is going to be okay again or my foot's going to be okay again. And so just navigating that. But yeah, that's
I would say a video you could do is form on taking like a form check video on how to take off weights properly. Because what I told
I mean,
Renee
but
is
I
when you're very new in the gym, everything is scary. Everything is kind of methodical and slow, and you're bracing yourself to take off a 45-pound plate if you're even grabbing the 45-pound plates. Even if you're dealing with plates in general, right? Maybe you're just doing machine work, but eventually you get so confident and comfortable that you almost go through the motions on the things that used to be so intentional, like just simply removing a weight. So that's, I mean, I haven't broken my foot doing that, but I've definitely dropped plenty of weights on things and whatever. And you make those silly little mistakes that you probably will never make again, or even just like running into stuff. Just because you're so comfortable at that point. So that's a consequence, right? Of once you get really, really comfortable in
yeah.
the gym, then you take for granted a couple little things. But and again, not blaming you for it. That just sucks. Like most people
No,
will
it
drop
makes
weight.
sense. So like when we talked about that the other day, I was like, I guarantee that's what I was doing. But I was just because I don't even know how like I feel like I don't remember. It just came and it was like hip height, so it just came
Yep.
crashing down. And
Never got a
I was
grip of
about
it.
to leave the gym too, and I was like, no, I'm gonna do one more like exercise. I
It's
need to
always
feel.
the one more set too. That's always when you end up hurting
I
something.
know, I know.
That's
So yeah, two hands when you take a weight off, and it was just moving it like from here to here. It was not a far move.
yep.
Somehow it went from here down.
Yep.
But everyone in the gym was super nice about it. I will say that's like a comforting thing, like when you have your little gym community was
Yeah.
the one of the trainers like brought me ice and I didn't think it was that bad. I was like, no, I'll be fine. Like, I don't really even need ice.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you do. And I'm like, okay. And then it just slowly got way worse.
Yeah.
So here we are now, but it's all right.
Figuring it out. Figuring
Figuring
it.
it out. Yeah, that's all I can do.
And I asked you earlier about if you got to meal prep still or had to go to the grocery store, and I know you said that you went grocery shopping prior to going to the gym that morning on Saturday. So you already had your groceries, but then had to fight through the pain to at least meal prep what you could on Sunday with it. And then
Yeah. Meal prep
that'll
is
be
kind of the difficult part. I was meal prepping. Yeah, I meal prepped on Sunday, and in this little like 45-minute meal prep session, I managed to my rice dropped all over the floor. Like it was not cooked yet and it would just flew on the floor. And then I burnt my sweet potatoes in the air fryer, so I had no sweet potatoes. Thankfully, my sister brought over some new ones. Um, but that was another moment where I just started crying. I'm like, I can't. This is like the one time I try to meal prep and I throw everything on the floor and I burn everything
Yep. Tough.
when I'm hobbling around on one leg.
When it rains, it pours, girl.
When it rains, it pours. Yeah, that's a common theme I've noticed.
Yep.
But that's all.
But you
So
powered through and you got
power
prepared
through.
for nutrition so you can keep that in check
Yeah.
during this. And then obviously grocery shopping this week and the weeks moving forward are gonna suck, but it's one of those things where it can suck and then you not do it and now you feel worse because you're not doing it and now you're losing, progress or you're digging a hole, whatever, where it's like you just got to control what you can and get through it in a tough situation.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel for you on that.
And it
100%.
is something too where it's like, okay, just because my body is not moving doesn't mean that it doesn't still need fiber, doesn't still need protein, doesn't still need all of its nutrients. And so like I told Marcus that I got pizza delivered on Monday after work because I had worked all day and I just could not do anything else. My foot was on fire. And but that was the only like cheat meal per se that I've had. The other meals have been my typical like eggs or yogurt for breakfast, my little lasagna rice for lunch, and then today I made ground turkey and lentil spaghetti. Um, because again, my body it just needs the proper like if it's gonna heal itself, it needs more than anything now to be able to work but its best.
Exactly. Exactly.
How
Um,
are you?
I'm good. We hired a nanny a couple weeks ago, so I've gotten some help on check-in days on Mondays. So instead of sitting up till damn near midnight trying to finish those on Mondays, I'm getting those done a little bit sooner. So that's been good, not having to share the attention with Lola as much. And yeah, it's given me some good time back. It's hard trading in that time. I'm sure any parent here, and Jessica, I'm sure you can relate to this as well, is like giving over, I love nothing more, and I was buckled up for another year of kind of survival mode and being with Lola all day long because I want to be. But I found myself kind of getting burnt out, and nothing was like I wasn't thriving in any area, and so it was hard. It's only 8 hours or so of a nanny that we're using kind of per week, but it's one of those things where that's giving me more time back to actually have quality time with Lola instead of being in this scatterbrain, half work, half dad mindset. So that was something that was a tough decision to make, but I'm very happy that I mean I'm only 2 weeks into it, so it's already been great. Outside of that though, all is going well. Biceps healing. Still been working through TRT, getting some taping, cupping, Graston work. I'm getting a massage tomorrow on it. So using all the methods to get it feeling better. I can pretty much do everything except for and I'm still doing isolated bicep curls, but that's the only thing that I really have much pain on. So it's good. It's improving, which I'm very happy that that's the case. But anyway, though, let's get to the girl of the hour, Jessica.
Oh gosh.
So as we said earlier in this, Jessica's been with Thriving Lives for 19 months. She was Renee's first client and still rocking and rolling with Thriving Lives. So I'm appreciative that you gave Renee, because obviously I gave Renee a chance and welcomed her into Thriving Lives, into the family, into the business that I created 8, 9 years ago, and it's done amazing. But it requires clients to be able to help Renee grow and learn how to coach, and she's obviously done amazing with it. And so I'm going to kind of sit back. You won't hear much from me other than throwing in a few things and thoughts. I can't help but talk a little bit, but I want to hear what you guys have to talk about. I want to hear about the journey through Renee's lens and Jessica's lens.
Yeah.
All right, Renee, you go first.
Okay. Um, so yes, Jessica was my first client. She, um, before I had even announced that I was coaching yet, she had messaged me on Instagram, and I still remember like the exact poster I had on my story. And she's like, "Oh my gosh, like, are you a trainer? I need training." I was like, oh my gosh, well, I'm about to announce it like this weekend, but yes, I'm doing online fitness coaching. And she's like, oh my gosh, like when can I sign up? And I'm like, oh my gosh, Marcus, I have a client. Like,
How do I do this?
whoa, what the heck? And so it's been super cool and I'll have her explain her story too, but for me, it's been really cool to watch Jessica's story. She's lost a lot of weight. I mean, what, 30 plus pounds?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then has just completely like transformed her gym and lifestyle and it's been really cool. She does like the same workouts I do, which I am super happy about. I love having someone to like share that with. Um, and it's been cool to see her go from kind of like a beginner moderate to now more advanced in the gym and watch her love of lifting and just kind of her reasoning behind why she started versus where she's at now. So I tell her and I brag about her truly all the time. She's probably sick of me bragging about her as much as I do, but super happy to have her and just watch her story unfold. And so first question for you would just be kind of share your story as to why you reached out first in August of 2023, kind of where your first goals were.
So I like that summer specifically had been trying to be like more intentional about exercising and like specifically lifting weights because the only kind of exercise that I really did before that was running. I used to coach cross country and track. And so I would just like run with the kids or like they would go and run and like I would run because they were much faster than me and I couldn't keep up with them. But like I ran some 5Ks or 10Ks or I ran a couple of half marathons and like that was my fitness was just running. And I didn't really know what to do in terms of like lifting weights. And I knew that I wanted to change whatever I was doing because I didn't like the way that I looked. I didn't like the way that I felt. And so I tried that summer, like before I reached out to Renee, I tried to like make a workout plan. And like I still have the note on my phone in the notes app. And it was like Monday, Tuesday. And I was like watching like random TikToks about like, this is, the only workout you'll ever need. And trying to like steal stuff from that and like make my own. And for the very, very little education that I have on training, like I made a training plan and like I did the same lifts on Mondays and the same lifts on Tuesdays and Wednesdays and like kept track of it in my phone and saw absolutely zero results whatsoever because I had no idea what I was doing. So it was already like good timing. So thanks, Renee, for, your life working out the way that it did. But like it was perfect timing that I'd already been trying and I was getting frustrated and I was like, what the heck? Why can't TikTok just tell me exactly what to do and have this work? And then Renee posted like a little teaser about, like what's new, what's coming. And I was like, wait a minute, are you going to be a personal trainer? Because please personal train me. I think that was exactly what I said. I was like, girl, personal
Yeah,
train me.
that's literally, I think, what you said word for word. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I needed
Jessica
help.
and I met. This is like, I love this little like invisible string. We met in Germany. Um, whatever, I don't know, 2018 it was or something like
Yeah.
that. And found out that we lived like 5 minutes away from each other, which is
Yeah.
just wild. And her house is literally like 5 minutes from the house I grew up in. Um, so went to her wedding and just all these random things where you would never think that you would meet someone in Germany that lives 5 minutes away from you.
Yeah.
Um,
That would then turn into a personal
turn
trainer that
into,
like changes the entire trajectory of my life, which
yeah,
I appreciate so much.
love that. Um, so the next question would be, that was your why then when you started just kind of get more like workout knowledge and things like that versus what's your why now and how has it kind of evolved? And you can talk a little bit about like your life as a teacher. Well, no, I get to that later. So yeah, just your why now
Okay.
versus your why then.
Um, I mean, my why then was just like I was unhappy with the way that I looked mostly. And I was like, I used to be like, I was an athlete in high school. Like growing up, I was always doing like athletic stuff. And I felt like I was an athletic person. And now as an adult, I felt like I had lost that I was not an athletic person, especially being around like kids and coaching. And I'd be like my toxic trait is watching kids do stuff and be like, I can do that. And then I definitely cannot do that. But now I didn't. I'm much happier with my physical appearance, but more than that, I feel completely different than I did a year and a half ago that I didn't realize was going to be like a side effect. Like I didn't realize how gross I felt. I didn't realize how sluggish I felt and how much anxiety I had around like food. Like this is so gross and I'm going to admit this and I know this is being recorded and other people will hear it. But there would be times that I would literally have like Ruffles and French onion dip for dinner that I was just like, this is my dinner tonight. And had like, did not even blink an eye. I was like, yeah, whatever.
But you're
Like,
not
I'll go
alone in that,
run.
I will say. I think that's more
Yeah.
common than you think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm sure I'm not alone, but still, that now I think about that and I'm like, that's gross. What are
Yeah.
you doing? But now I feel so much better and I feel so much more like knowledgeable and in control of different aspects of my life that I didn't realize I was missing control of, that now I don't. And even like where I am right now versus where I was like a year ago,
Mhm.
like I'd already been in the program for 9 months or 7 months at the time, like this time last year. And where I am now versus then is still so different, like so much better. I used to get like super anxious about like if I was traveling, like for coaching, if I was like, okay, like it's track season right now. I'm not coaching anymore, but I remember going to track meets and having to like pack my lunch and being stressed out about like, oh my God, am I gonna be able to find a microwave? Like, am I gonna have to eat these cold, nasty potatoes that are like soaked in cottage cheese because I packed my lunch at 6 this morning and had to bring it with me? And I would just get really stressed out about planning stuff like that. And now I know, like, if I go out to dinner, I'm much more knowledgeable about, what can I get that's still going to fuel my body in a positive way and like, not break my entire meal plan into tiny smithereens. I do sometimes miss French onion dip. And now that I've talked about it, I might have to work that into a cheat day sometime in the future.
Yeah, I think it is cool. Especially watching like your struggles like throughout the because I mean when you think about it, she's been doing check-ins every Thursday for a year and a half. So
Mm.
that's been her sitting there like opening up and reflecting on her week for a year and a half straight. And so not only watching her, yes, lose 30 plus pounds, yes, get a gym routine, yes, change her meals, but like the confidence in herself is so cool to like watch that progression. Um, so I think that's really cool, kind of how you noticed that in yourself too, because that's I think one of the biggest things of like it's not just a workout plan and a meal plan, it's an entire like lifestyle change, and you've really embodied that.
Thanks. And I remember like you said, like we do the same workouts now,
Hmm.
minus the dropping weights on our
Yeah.
feet. I'm gonna skip that part of my next workout if that's okay with you.
Well,
But like when I started, I was doing like much more like full body light dumbbell type stuff, and that was hard. And I was like, why is this so hard? Like I thought I was an athlete, like I should be able to do all of this stuff. Like this is really challenging. And then just being able to like graduate, like I remember the first like new cycle of workouts where I got to actually like do a barbell squat where I wasn't doing like dumbbell squats or like some kind of modified squat. And I was like, oh my God, I graduated. Like I get to do a real squat now. And now it's like you and me do the same workouts on the same days.
Hmm.
And I like how I've sort of leveled up.
And I think you've allowed yourself to level up because you've wanted to learn. I think that's a big thing I'll say about you is like you genuinely want to learn and want to do better. And we've done a couple like in-person training sessions. And so to get her form down, she always will send me videos of her form. And so things like that, where like the reason why she's not still stuck in those full body, lightweight dumbbell beginner workouts is because she's like openly wanted to progress and has been yeah, just open about that. And so I think that it's great that you've progressed that far.
And
Um,
I'm not naive enough to say that like I don't still need help. Like I sent you a video like 2 weeks ago and I was like, why do I look so dumb? And why does
yeah.
this feel so weird? And I hope you do this forever because I might need you forever. At least as like somebody to tell me like, yep, looks good. Keep going.
And
I
that's
want to.
normal though, I think too, to like always like question like I mean, when I first started, I would send stuff to Marcus. We're like, Marcus, are you sure like this is fine? Like, I don't really know. And I'm like, okay, I'm literally a personal trainer. Like, I should be more confident, but it's just tough. And so I think having someone just to like,
Coaches need coaches.
coaches
Always.
need
At,
coaches.
at
Yeah.
every
I
level.
mean,
At every level.
even if you think you're doing everything right, it's still helpful to have a second pair of eyes on it. And then you feel more confident in those movements as well. Um, my next question for you would be, how do you navigate being a mom? I think that's something a lot of people here will identify with. So talk about, because you're in the gym 5, 6 days a week, meal prepping all of your meals. And I will say Jessica is someone who truly sticks to the workout plan, truly sticks to the meal plan. Well, okay, she sticks to her macros. She has it made her own like meal plan, like what she wants to eat, but sticks to her macros and calories. So how do you navigate all of that planning on top of trying to be a mom? And then also what have you noticed within like your son and why is your talk about how you're being a mom goes into that factor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so he like my son loves to like he knows when I go work out, he's like, "Are you going to exercise?" And he'll ask me like, "Why do you like to exercise?" And like, "I like to move my body. I like to feel strong." And there are times when like he is with me and we're at the gym because I work out at my school's gym. Like I don't belong to a gym because I have a weight room at the school that I work at, so I just work out there. And sometimes he'll come with me and he finds the little like 3 pound dumbbells and he'll like do stuff with them. And he's like, I like exercising. Or he'll want to like walk on the treadmill or something. So I love that for him. And we try to get him into like athletic things. Like he goes to Kid Strong, which is like
Yes.
what every PE class in elementary school should be. It's like obstacle courses and running around. And like he loves to do that.
It
And
looks so awesome.
it's so fun.
I
Like
thought
he
about
literally did
like
it
just
today.
going to like work there just because it looks awesome to
Yes.
that.
No, my husband is like, I think I might work here this summer
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we were both teachers, so we're always looking for like extra stuff to do in the summer.
Yeah.
But he like for us, it's really important for him that he is like active and moving around because he had a lot of like mobility issues when he was little because he was super premature. So we don't know if he's ever gonna like play a sport or be able to like lift weights the way that like I lift weights. But he gets to at least do something. And he knows that like it's fun to move his body, it's healthy to move his body, that he's doing stuff that is movement that makes him feel good. And in terms of like planning, I'm a lot less busy now than I was when I was doing this last year because I was coaching multiple sports and now I'm not. And that's been a big like time save for me. Um, in not even in like I don't get home any earlier than I used to, but like I'm a lot more on top of the things that I need to be on top of, and I have a lot more like mental space to
You're
then
not
like
so
meal
spread
plan
thin.
and yeah, exactly. I'm not so spread thin. And the stuff that I'm prioritizing are the things that I want to do for me and for my family versus like having to commit so much time and effort and energy to like other people and other people's families, which I
Well,
loved coaching and I miss some of those kids, but I know that this is better for me and better for my kid.
two things to expand on as well with that, or just to reiterate, is one, I love that you're saying that, you know, the time that you're committing to yourself now, I would assume you'd agree with the statement of it's allowing you to be a better version of yourself for your family, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for the things you do choose to put energy into because you're taking care of yourself first, you know, in a way, obviously they all come first, but you're not putting yourself on the back burner, which allows you to show up in those ways. And the second thing that I really love too is the context in which you talk about exercise or eating healthy in front of your son, because I don't think parents quite understand the weight that their words hold, or just
Mm-hmm.
not even their words, their attitude or their feelings towards eating the healthy food or exercising. You know, they might feel it this way, but again, if you're talking, if you're acting this way in front of your kids, it carries weight. So if you act like it's a punishment that you're eating healthy, I hate doing this, but I hate my body. Like the words and the weight that those words hold, especially, you know, if you're a mom and you have a daughter, or you know, a dad and you have a son, and if you constantly are reiterating those things about yourself or about what you're doing and why you're doing it in a negative context, that it feels like a punishment or you don't like yourself, so that's why you're doing it. Whereas you flipped it, and I like feeling strong. I like feeling healthy. Like these are positive connotations that come with it versus the negative. So again, the PE teacher in me loves that. The dad in me loves that, and just knowing the value that's providing your son and you know just children in general. So I love that. I love that.
I'm not going to be able to remember exactly how he said it, but we were like finishing dinner one night and he said something about how like the the meatballs that he just ate, he was like, I ate those meatballs and now they're muscles. And he like flexed his muscles.
That's
Like,
and
yes,
that's
they
awesome.
totally are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, like eating healthy and living healthy and being active, these are things that in our society and just nowadays, like in this 21st century, are just not as normal and commonplace because they don't really have to be. We don't have to be physically active to get through life anymore, like we would have 50 or 100 years ago or thousands of years ago, right? That just kind of so we don't have that necessity anymore. But it's awesome that he sees that and he has those relationships with it, so that he always stays active. It's not something he's going to have to figure out later on in life. He grows up with those role models as mom and dad that are doing that stuff, and so that should always be a why. Like anybody that I'm working with that's a parent, like that should be a big reason why that you're doing what you're doing. So I love that. Keep doing that. Keep doing your thing.
Um,
He's sweet.
to kind of follow up on that, Jessica, only share as much as you want to and such here too. Um, when you started with me, you were the kind of the only one in your household that had changed your diet. And so tell me a little bit about the struggle of one spouse trying to eat healthier, one spouse kind of like still in their prior way, because you told me you used to eat a lot of like frozen meals and things like that. So what were your struggles that you had noticed? Were you tempted and things like that, being the only one doing it by yourself
Yeah,
while
I mean it.
you're seeing someone else?
Yeah, my husband is top tier D1 dad, D1 husband, like love him to pieces. And he has been like the absolute most supportive person through all of this. Like he helps me cook, he helps me prep. Like even when I started like last August and I was doing it and he wasn't doing it, he was still like, what do you need from the store? Like what are the meals that you need to make? Even if it wasn't like for him. And he's made the things that I eat as part of my meal plan work in some respect with like what he would eat. Like every week there is a rotisserie chicken or two in our refrigerator from Sam's Club. And like that's something that he will eat for dinner and I will eat for dinner. And like we both eat like the cottage cheese that we buy, but then we sort of deviate on, like what we make for lunch, but now he is doing a lot more prep. Like he would always like make lunch in advance, but it might not be like the same kind of thing that I was making, or like I would make a lot of my stuff in bulk. But he, even though he wasn't doing it with me, he was still like super supportive of the stuff that I was doing. And like, he's not really a junk food person. So there's not junk food in our house, anyways. And the stuff that he does like to keep around is not stuff that I like Skittles. So I'm not going to eat those, anyways. But he was never one to be like, I'm going to eat this for dinner and I'm going to rub it in your face or anything like that. He would like accommodate whatever I was trying to do. Like he tries to line up like on when I'm trying to have a cheat meal, then he goes and has like a cheat meal too. So he can kind of like line up that way. But he's been a rock star in terms of helping me. Like just tonight, I was like, shoot, I need to like, he's not going to school tomorrow because there's track meet, but it'll be at the house. And I was like, dang it, I forgot to take out the turkey. I need to cook rice. And he was like, don't worry about it. I'll cook it tomorrow. Like, I'm going to be home anyways. Like, it's not hard to cook. So I'll do it. And he was like, I'll bring it to you for lunch. I'm like, I'm so lucky.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Real quick with that, Jessica, and it sounds like he's just awesome in general, so you probably didn't have to do this, but did you have to, and again, when I say have to, that it's not a bad thing. This is what a lot of people have to do in this situation is communicate the true, like the deeper reasons why they're embarking on this journey, they're making these changes and stuff of that nature. Like, did you have to have a deep, like a direct conversation about that, or was it just, hey, I'm going to do this, and he just adapted right along with you?
More of that. I mean, I was like, hey, I want to, like, he knew I was working out
Yeah.
over the summer and like trying to make changes and like that I was unhappy with how I was looking and everything and feeling. And so it wasn't a surprise that I was like, hey, my friend actually just became a personal trainer. This is like perfect timing. So I'm going to do this. And he was like, cool, go you do that.
Awesome.
And he was like, I'm not going to work out with you, but I promise not to rub it in your face when I order Little Caesars pizza for dinner, which is literally what he did tonight, by the way.
That's either way, awesome, awesome. That's great.
And I mean, recently he's been like, kind of in the dumps about like how he's eating. And so I was like, okay, like I know stuff now. So I like tracked his food for a day. And I was like, well, babe, the two chocolate Pop Tarts that you had for breakfast is probably why you're hungry at 9:30 for lunch and you eat your bologna sandwich at 9:30 in the morning and then you're starving. So like I've been helping him make like tiny little changes that more than anything, he's not concerned about like losing weight. He's just like, I'm hungry. Like I don't know what I'm doing to like, I want to be full longer. I want to like not be hangry and like yell at my classes and try to like, pace himself throughout the day kind of stuff. So now that I know a little bit more, because Renee has taught me a lot, I've been able to help him make like easy little swaps where he doesn't feel like he's having to like sacrifice or like make big changes or
Yep.
anything.
That's awesome.
Again, that's where it kind of comes in of like you chose to learn about all this stuff. You didn't choose to like take a plan blindly and then just follow it. You're like, okay, well, you're kind of reflecting on, okay, well, protein does make me feel better. So now I know I need protein and this. And so you've made those connections in your mind and now you're able to help other people with that, which I love. Um, Next question for you is how do you navigate being a teacher when it comes to steps, water intake, and time? I think a lot of teachers struggle with water and things like that. And so just kind of little brief synopsis on what you've done that helps you.
So full disclosure, I suck at drinking water and I have my water with
Yeah.
me right now. I'm
You
like
still
trying to
you
drink
drink
it.
your 80 ounces though at least daily most of the time.
Yes, yeah, I still get that, but like I I have to like break my water up in like segments throughout the day. Like so I teach high school and we have 7 hours in a day, like seven classes that we teach in a day. So I'm trying to like check in with myself at like I know I'm gonna finish my coffee by the end of second hour. I know that I'm gonna like fill up my cup for the first time for the day, like when I finish my coffee during second hour, and then I'm gonna have like a quarter of it drank by lunchtime in the middle of fourth hour. I finish it when I'm working out, like after school, and then I refill it and I drink it between like after school and dinner. And that's always, I know like markers throughout the day just because of doing it for so long that like, okay, if I don't have this much water drank by this time, like, oh shoot, I'm behind. I need to go and like chug some water real fast and like catch up. But steps are easy because I'm pacing, walking around like my classroom all day. And I mean, walking from my classroom to like the copy room where I have to like print stuff out for the day is at least 500 steps. And I'm walking back and forth between there like tons of times throughout the day. So I'm not really like sitting at my desk a ton. Like at the end of a class, I'm definitely sitting there like I'm sitting there grading, or I'm sitting there like when they're working on like homework or something. But for the most part, I'm up and like moving around my classroom. So steps is easier to get when I'm at work. Actually, like the days that I have the least amount of steps are weekends,
Mhm.
where I'm just like at home, like hanging out with my son, like we're playing, and I'm just like sitting on the floor with him. Like we don't really move around that much in our house. He's very like, this is where I want to sit, this is where I want to play, and everything is like close quarters. So I definitely get more steps when I am at work than I do when I am not at work, actually.
Cool. Um, Next thing, you have always loved travel. Um, Hence kind of us meeting in Germany, but kind of talk about how you navigated travel when you first started versus how you navigate travel now and how you view like so sometimes you're going on multiple trips a year or like back-to-back cruises and we've talked about it extensively to a point of like okay, some of these yes are like cheat weeks where you're not really paying attention to it, but you've come into your own of like okay, well every time I go on vacation it's not going to be a cheat week. I'm still going to follow a lot of what I can. So A, kind of talk about that. And then B, she recently became a travel agent, so talk a little
Whoop.
bit about that as well.
Yeah, that was part of the trade-off of me not coaching anymore this year was that I became a travel agent and I was running my own business that way. And I, one, needed the time for it, but two, just was ready to take a break from that and try something different and on my own. But even before that, like part of the reason I became a travel agent was because I've always traveled. Like we met in Germany, and like that was not the first trip that I had been on. And I we traveled with a company called EF, and that was like the first solo anything that I had ever done was an EF trip, not the one that we met on, but one that I took like right after I graduated college. or like a year after I graduated college, I went on like an 18-day trip that went like all over Europe. And I was like, this is amazing. I want to do this all the time. Like being able to see, like experience other cultures and how other people live and just like the art and history and everything and the food. I try not to feel like restricted or super guilty when I'm traveling and I'm eating. Like I want to experience the full experience, which includes eating like really authentic, amazing food for wherever I am. But I
And
also
normally
know
it's way
now,
healthier than
yeah,
you're traveling in
like
America. Yeah.
yes, yeah. I mean, I'm eating like real, actual, delicious food that's, not gross,
Yep.
like a lot of food in a lot of places in America. So, I mean, that's actually easier to do. And I just know what to look for. I know what to order. I know, like, in general, like, what's a good choice, what's a, like, have a little of this, but don't eat the whole thing kind of deal. And yes, I am walking a ton, like, especially on these, like, European trips or like this past summer, we went to the Galapagos and we were like hiking and rainforests and stuff. Like, I'm not sitting and just like doing nothing. Like I'm walking tons of steps, and that's easy when I'm in like a foreign country and like European travel or anything like that. But like my husband and I, we cruise a lot. And I just always make it a point that like I'm still gonna do my workouts. I'm gonna get up, like the boys are sleeping or they're like still in the cabin, like hanging out, watching cartoons, and like I'm gonna go work out. Like I'm gonna modify whatever I need to modify for like what's on the cruise ship. But like every cruise ship has a gym. Most hotel rooms or most hotels that you would stay in like have some kind of fitness center so you can still get stuff done that you need to get done. There's only been maybe one trip that I went on like last year when I had just started this and I was still coaching. We went to a big cross country meet in Minnesota, and we stayed at this teeny tiny dinky little like La Quinta, and it didn't have a gym. So I was just like taking the furniture in my hotel room and like trying to like lift heavy stuff. I don't know. It was not a quality workout, but I tried to move and I tried to like get stuff done. So I don't look at it as like, a vacation where you just like go nuts and like everything goes out the window. Like me on vacation is still me at home. I'm just in a different place. And like I might not be able to meal prep, but I can still make good like the same choices and I can still be the same person and try to keep the same routine and everything that I do when I'm at home.
When you're working out on vacation like that, is it for, is it like, I have kind of three thoughts. Is it like punitive, like, oh, I'm eating all these calories, so I need to work out? I don't think that's the answer, but that would be some people's answer, is they feel it's like, this is my consequence to having ate like I did yesterday. And so it's kind of that trade-off. Is it to maintain the continuity so that you're not like just taking a whole week off and you're like, as I'm building this as a habit, I want to even do it on vacation. So when I come home, I don't feel like I'm starting over. Or number three, is it because you feel your best when you've made that small investment in yourself that day?
Yeah, definitely like a mix of two and three.
Okay.
Like it's part of a routine, it's part of who I am now, and that continues no matter where I am and what I'm doing. But also like I just feel better when I exercise and like it's not I'm getting up, sleeping late for me with a 4-year-old is like 6:45.
Yeah.
So I'm still getting up at like a sleep in time and I go and I like get my workout in to start the day and then I always just feel better throughout the day and I'm like, "Oh, sweet. I'm very like checklist oriented." So I'm like, "Check that off. Like I did that for the day. Like it's a normal day just like I would have, if I was at home."
Yeah.
She also will, there's been times when she's like traveled to Texas and like only has limited gym equipment. But my favorite thing is like she thinks about this through every single time and she's like, hey, I'm traveling to my sister-in-law's or sisters in Texas and here's the dumbbell she has. Can we make a workout for that? Cool, great, we do it. And then she has it. And so it's not like she's pre-planning because she knows this is her routine and what she wants to do. And so again, it's not just like she goes on vacation and just throws caution to the wind. It's she's prepared and planned because that's how she's going to feel best. And then communicated that throughout all of this as well. Um,
Well, and that's always part of like the check-in, like because I've been doing this since last August, like the check-in questions have evolved over time, but there's always something in there about like what's coming up that you need to prepare for, or what's coming up that you need to like let me know about as like your trainer. So if I know I'm traveling, then I can say, this is where I'm going, this is what I have access to. Like, can you help me? What can I modify? What can I do? I think the only time I've missed a check-in is because I was traveling. I think last summer, my entire
I think that was
19 months,
one.
I've missed
Yeah.
one check-in because I was in Ecuador, I think. And I was like, well, I don't have any way to weigh myself or take pictures. I'm sharing a hotel room with strangers, so not ideal.
Yeah, she does check in single week. And I will say, when you're doing check-ins, like especially if you do them for 6 months or whatever, that's a lot of time to commit to typing out answers and reflecting, and it'd be easy for her to just like skip it because there's a lot of weeks where it's like, oh, nothing new this week, kind of same as last, where it's like in a routine and maintenance or whatever, but she still continues to check in every single week. And so talking about check-ins, this has been a recurring theme that you've grown with so much, I will say. But it's still there because it's there in every single person. But talk about your struggles when the scale does not move and how you've kind of like one time you posted too about like the zoom out picture of like the little graph that's kind of ebbs and
Mhm.
flows. And so talk a little bit about your struggles when the scale doesn't move. Does that discourage you? Does that make you quit? Or what do you do in those scenarios?
It definitely affects me less now than it did in the beginning. In the beginning, I was super frustrated that like things weren't happening the way that I thought that they should. And part of that was because I had really unrealistic expectations that I was like, oh, this is supposed to happen like immediately. I'm supposed to have results and I'm supposed to, lose a pound a week and all of this. And that was just unrealistic for like sustainable, long lasting results, which is what I want. I don't want to just like drop a bunch of weight that I'm going to gain later. And then I will say too, like recently, because I had a really long period of just like maintenance calories and I was just like living life and not having to like restrict as much or like cut down on anything as much. And now I too started a cut like same as Renee. And the first couple of weeks was more of like a mental, like, oh my God, I've been like living it up the past couple of months and like not having to really like think about too much of, planning and trying to make stuff fit because I knew what was going to fit in my maintenance calories. And now I'm like trying to refit all of the puzzle pieces together. And like last week, I texted Renee and I was like, well, I'm going to send you my full check in later, but my thoughts right now are what the actual F, because I was super pissed. But it doesn't affect me as much as it used to because I know that like things are going to ebb and flow. Do I want them to go a certain direction? Yes, obviously, but I also know that like one bad week is not the end all be all because right now I'm still down, a considerable amount of weight and a considerable amount of body fat from where I started. And I lived this whole period of time in these maintenance calories where I did gain a little bit of weight a little bit at a time. And every time I weighed in and it went up like zero point 0.3 pounds or like zero point 0.5 pounds, I was like, that's life. I don't, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, where it used to like ruin my entire day if I had a bad check in or a bad weigh in or like pictures that I didn't like. And now I am going through the app and like looking at my pictures from like right now. If I had a bad check in, like last week, I didn't love my check in. And I looked at all of my progress pictures from like last week to a year ago. And I was like, okay, like I'm still better off now than I was a year ago, and I'm much better off now than I was a year and a half ago. And one week is not like the end all be all, but it's not perfect. I have to remind myself of that one week is not the end all be all.
And I think everyone does. I mean, like I was saying too, when I first started my cut, like the scale wasn't moving and I was in the deficit and I was starving and I'm like, this all sucks. It's not moving. But then slowly, like you start seeing in pictures or you start seeing in the mirror or like it starts to become worth it. But you have to understand that every week you will not lose weight. And even if you're not losing weight, you're still like, it doesn't mean that the entire week of like lower calories was pointless because it's not like you didn't just have a cheat week. You just, for some reason, your body, it just did not lose weight that week. And at that point, again, it's so easy to just not show up, not check in, and be like, well, this sucks. I don't even want to admit any of this. But instead, every single time she communicates and talks about it and expresses her concerns, and then we're able to kind of get to a mutual like understanding of like, hey, we have gotten better, we are doing this, like keep at it, and if not, here's a plan that we will attack in the future if this continues to happen. And so again, it's just all about like the communication that she's expressed throughout this entire journey. That's been helpful.
And that just boils down to the consistency with check-ins. If you weren't showing up on a week that you plateaued, whether it was your fault or your body just didn't respond well that week, and you're like, oh, the scale didn't change at all, so I'm not going to check in. Then if something was off that week, you're more than likely going to continue whatever that negative was into a second week or a third week or whatever. And also within the consistency of in the duration in which you've been doing these check-ins as well, is now you've become comfortable in the weeks that the scale doesn't work with maybe what your execution was, and comfort in just knowing that I've been doing this long enough that I don't expect things to change, on a week by week basis with this. And part of that too is it takes us out of emotional mind when we're looking at the scale, because it's so easy to be an emotional mind when we're looking at the scale. Be happy if it moved with us, or be sad if it didn't move with us. But the when you've done it so consistently for this duration of time too, it helps to look at the scale more logically, or look at just results in general more logically. If I'm feeling bloated, well, I'm hydrated. I ate poorly this week. And like you can make logical connections to the cause and effect of things.
And I like looking at other metrics besides my weight. Like I'm so much stronger now than I was even like over the summer, like this past summer, but definitely much stronger than I was when I started all of this. And I'm still making progress. I'm still lifting more. I'm like lifting heavier. I'm going for longer. I'm, doing more reps. And like that's still something that if I am gaining weight or if I am staying the same, that I at least have another measure of success somewhere.
With all that being said too, why do you continue training knowing you can likely do this on your own now?
Because I can't do it on my own. I need you.
I
I
told
don't want to
Jessica
do
the
it on
day
my
that
own.
she as the since she's been with me since day one, I was like, the day that you ever decide to leave coaching, we need to take a cruise together to celebrate. Um,
Yes. Can we just do one anyways? Like, do I have to
you can do
quit to
one.
get you to
You
go
don't
No,
on
have
a
to
cruise?
do
you could never leave me, but the day will come. Um, but
I don't know. Honestly,
what
I
value do you
think
see in
about
it?
that. Like, when am I going to be at the point where I feel comfortable like doing it on my own? And I don't know what the milestone is going to be where I'm like, okay, I did it. Now I know I can do this by myself. I just know that it's not right now. Like, I know that I appreciate the support system like more than any of the other components. Like at this point, could I make my own workouts? Probably. They wouldn't be as good or as well thought out or structured as the ones that you make for me. The meal plan would be really easy to do because I literally eat the same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day. But like making adjustments, like I don't know how to do that. I don't know what to look for. I don't know like how to come up with what my body needs in like different stages of life. And I trust you to figure it out for me. And like, I'm interested, but I know that like that's something that I would miss along with just being able to like text you a video and be like, hey, why do I look dumb? Like, what am I doing? Help me fix me. And even if I wasn't like having you as my coach, like I would still text you and be like, hey, help. And at that point, like, okay, might as well just be my coach then.
My guess, my
So
guess, my guess
never.
to that as well is, the other benefits of having a coach is having somebody that has stock and investment and cares about what you're doing and how you're living as well. And just knowing that, because I mean, obviously you have your husband and he cares about those things too, but like that's always going to be there. You could go off and do whatever, and he's still going to be supportive of you and that type of stuff. So it's nice having other people that have an interest in what you're doing and actually care about it. So that accountability piece is always there for you. Um, and yeah. So I mean, I feel like that's got to be somewhat of a help too, and just knowing that.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, like I'm very like checklist oriented and knowing like, okay, I have to check in with Renee on Thursday. I know that these are the kinds of things that she's going to ask me. And so all week I'm thinking about like, okay, when I check in on Thursday, like this moment right now, I need to remember this later because I'm going to have to like voice that, or like this is an experience I had during this workout and I'm going to need to ask her this question later. I'm coming on Saturday to the open house because I have questions about
Mhm.
lifts. So
I can't
Awesome.
be there.
that's
So
fine.
you've got Marcus, but take advantage
I
of it. But
I will only be there 10 to noon. I won't be there after that. I got to get back home to Lola, but I will be there 10 to noon. I will have at least one client, I think, from 10 to 11 that morning. But otherwise, I'll be there rocking and rolling. And yes, anybody
Yeah.
who's listening to this and it comes out, I'll publish it before Saturday anyway. Open gym at Body Shop Gym in Overland Park from 10 to 2 on Saturday, and it's free entry. So there's a little plug there.
those are kind of my questions. Marcus, if you have anything,
I wrote down some things real quick. So, Jessica, I mean, something I would definitely like to know is in terms of coaching with Thriving Lives or just coaching in general. Obviously, there's three main pillars to Thriving Lives. There's nutrition programming, there's workout programming, and there's the accountability, the actual coaching aspect. When you're struggling, you communicate and we go over things, right? So where do you find the most value at with this? Because like you said, you kind of have figured out your own nutrition side of things at this point that you're consistent with and workouts well. Where would you say that the most value that you've gained from this has been from?
I think that it changes. Like at the beginning, I knew like, okay, these are lifts that I can do, like maybe not correctly, maybe not well, but I can lift weights, I can use machines at a gym and like figure that out. But at the beginning, like the nutrition was such a big component of stuff that I did not know. Like even I know Renee said that I'm not following the exact like meal plan that she gave me. And in the beginning, that was a huge problem because I was like, oh, like if it fits your macros, and like it did not fit my macros because I was not doing things right.
Yep.
And so like the very beginning was really frustrating because I was like thinking that I was doing it right and not doing it right.
Right.
So like that's twofold, the nutrition and the accountability of her like educating me on, no, this is actually what this means. Like this is how you measure rice. This is how you like calculate weight of food, like in different, before it's cooked, after it's cooked, like things
Yep.
like that. And now that I know all of that stuff, now that I'm more educated on the nutrition side of things, I think the value has shifted more to the accountability, more to the like personal connection.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So you had to kind of lay down the foundation of the systems and just the understanding of the kind of the basics with it, which for a lot of people that's the most overwhelming part because there's so much that it feels like to learn with it. And again, I don't know the ins and outs of your guys' check-ins and stuff of that nature, but what I would my assumption is during those tough times you continue communicating with it and you kept leaning into it, understanding that a lot of this boils down to trial and error. And no matter what Renee and I can say and lead somebody with it still boils down to you having to do the work and also understand that what you try today might not be the key. You know what I mean? It might not be what works, and you got to keep going through trial and error. And same thing at the gym, right? You had to go get uncomfortable to eventually get to a point that you're comfortable. On all of these things. Be uncomfortable with, why is my body not responding correctly or whatever, and then having to have conversations about it, ask follow-up questions, and just again, just lean into the coaching aspect of it. And because you've done that so consistently, the things that at the very, very, off the jump were very difficult and overwhelming and probably frustrating is now those things are second nature. They're more automatic, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Like when you mentioned, going to practice and having to bring cottage cheese and like potatoes or whatever, and they've kind of merged together. Like that's one of those things where you might have just smashed it and ate it and been like, this isn't the best thing, but I'm going to eat it anyway or whatever. But now you have, because you've worked through those tough moments and kept pushing through and not just giving up because you were frustrated. Now I'm sure you have even a better system of doing things like that because you worked through those tough moments.
Yeah, and I will say, like, at the beginning, it was really nice to just not have any like buy-in from myself, that everything was like, I'm doing this because Renee told me to. And people would be like when people started noticing that I had like lost weight at school, they were like asking me about it. Some of them in good ways and some of them in like less tactful ways.
Yep.
But I was like, yeah, my personal trainer runs my life. And like there was no accountability or like buy-in from me. And like now I don't say that. Like, yes,
Yep.
Renee, you still run my life and you will for the foreseeable future, but it's willing and like I feel like I'm participating in it more so than just like I do this because Renee tells me to.
Yep. That's good. That's awesome. So tell us more about the business that you've created. Um, and yeah, tell us how. I mean, obviously you've talked about some travel and whatnot with it, but so why did you start the business and what's your plan with it?
I honestly, I was at school, like being fed up with school, like I'm sure you can relate to on some level that like it was just like kind of a crummy day. And I'm like, what could I do if I wasn't a teacher? And I was like, I'll be a travel agent. And so I started looking into it and I found a host agency to get on board with. So I'm a it's basically a franchise where I like own my own independent travel agency and it's called Anytime Summer Travel because I'm a teacher and the only time that we can travel is in the summer, but everybody else can go whenever they want.
Yeah.
So that was the idea. And it started like really slow and I was just like planning stuff for like friends and like lately, and I know I've been telling Renee this in check-ins that like it's been really busy lately. Like I'm getting more clients, I'm getting people that like are referred to me from other people. Like I'm trying to set up what I'm doing like group cruises and stuff, but it's been sort of similar to all of the coaching stuff where at the beginning I had this idea of what it would look like. And the more I learn and the more I do it and the more I practice it, like that has totally changed. Where I thought I was just going to like do one thing and now I've learned a lot and sort of adjusted my expectations a little bit. Like it's never going to be something that I quit my day job and, become a travel agent. It's not that glamorous or anything.
Hey,
But
I said the same thing when started Thriving Lives.
okay,
Never
well,
say never say never. That's what I learned over the years. Never say never.
yeah,
But
okay,
either way,
fair.
you're a good teacher. You love teaching. I'm not saying to leave teaching. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I don't think my husband would let me. He and I teach at the same school and we teach across the hall from each other. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
don't want to stop teaching because then when I see him,
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. That's
yeah.
that's definitely a good reason to stay there with it. So, do you specialize in anything travel wise, like Caribbean or Europe or anything and everything?
Kind of anything and everything. Like I started with stuff that I was familiar with. So cruises, because that's like our main form of vacation, all inclusives. And then I've planned a couple more like the trip that Renee and I were on that are like independent, like Europe itineraries. Like I pick the cities and pick all
Yeah.
the transportation and like suggest tours and sites and stuff like that. But mostly it's cruises and all inclusives, but I'm open and willing to learn anything that's just like the majority of what I've done so far.
Okay, I got you. So anybody could come to you and say, "Hey, this is kind of the trip that I'm thinking." And you're like, "Hey, I haven't done that before, but let's figure it out." And you'll
Yeah,
make it happen.
absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's fantastic then. And anything Disney related either? And this I'm not asking for myself.
absolutely. We're actually talking about this. Like, we're planning on taking our son to Disney for the first time next year on his birthday because his birthday is around Thanksgiving. So we have Thanksgiving break off from school, and he'll be 6. So we're gonna take him
Oh, sweet.
to Disney like for the week around his birthday and do all of that fun stuff. And my sister is a big Disney expert, and I sent her to Disney with her family like this past December. And that part was like she did a lot of that. And she taught me a lot of Disney, but like I helped her find like a place to stay and transportation and things like that. And then she was the one who was like, oh, well, I know about like Genie Plus and all of these different things and like different ways to like maximize their time. Like she's a guru with that and she taught me a lot about it.
Oh, cool. For those who have never worked with a travel agent before, if you could kind of, explain what that process looks like. So again, if I come to you, I'm like, hey, I want to take a trip. Like what are you doing for somebody that you're planning, travel for?
It is all of the thinking and planning and logistics that, take the most amount of time. That is what I do so you don't have to. So if you say like, I want to go on an anniversary trip, but I don't know where I want to go. I don't know like anything about the destinations or how to get there. Then you just say, I want to take an anniversary trip. I want it to be great. These are the vibes
Yeah.
and help. And then I can, cater to whatever it is that you want. If it's like I've planned some graduation trips for like some kids at my school that I know, those are obviously going to have completely different set of criteria than the 25th anniversary trip that I sent somebody on in January
Yeah.
or the like family cruise that people are going on in October. So every trip is unique to the people that are planning it and what they want. And if you don't know what you want, that's fine. I will give you 1,000 ideas because basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to plan the trip that meets your criteria, that sounds like fun, that I would want to go on.
That makes sense.
And then when you go, I will be there like every step of the way. If you need like support, if something happens while you're on the trip, like my services and like my expertise don't stop when you book your trip. Like I am with you every step of the way through departure and like coming home.
Until you get home. That's good. There's definitely comfort in that because obviously things happen whenever you're traveling, especially if you're doing it overseas, then
Mm-hmm.
it's stressful. It kind of takes away from the fun of a trip. So it's nice that they can communicate to you and then you kind of handle it from there as well. And kind of what I picture too is like, when we went to Mexico a couple of years ago, it was like we had to have transportation from the airport to where we were staying at and had to, coordinate a driver to pick us up and take us there. And the
Mm-hmm.
same thing on like excursions and those things. It's like, especially when you're down in, Mexico, you're like, I don't know what's right, what's wrong, like what's a good, excursion to go on versus a bad one. So it takes a lot of the guesswork and the thought work and the stress out of it, is what I'm envisioning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I like, again, because I'm a teacher, the whole idea of this was that I wanted to help people make sure they could maximize whatever they wanted to do within a budget.
Yeah.
And like I plan trips for less than $1,000. I plan like really extravagant trips for people that are like, this is my one big blowout that I know I'm going to do. So like, pull out all the stops. But whatever it is that you want to do, whatever it is within like your comfort level, your budget, like I will make that work.
That's awesome. That's cool.
Because
And
before I was a travel agent, I was a self-proclaimed travel hacker and would like try to find the best deals and like, how can I leverage my points into free travel? Like, that was always the goal. My husband and I are hoarding our credit card points because we want to go for either our 10th anniversary or 15th anniversary, probably more likely. We want to go on a Middle Eastern cruise through the Red Sea
oh, that's awesome.
and like fly business class to Dubai and like just really live it up. So I'm hoarding all of my credit card points.
That's a great trip. That's a great trip. Okay, cool. So and then you had an offer as well for Thriving Limes clients as well, correct?
Yes. So traditionally, I will charge new clients what I call a professional planning fee that ensures that I give you all of the research, all of the commitment upfront for everything that you need to like make your trip actually happen. And for Thriving Lives Fitness clients, I will waive that fee. So I usually charge new clients a $50 fee one time to plan a trip, and anybody that comes from TLF, no fee.
That's
Free
awesome.
trip planning.
That's awesome.
And
Thanks
then
for
do
taking the offer.
people pay you like, so you have a planning fee that's $50, but then that gets waived. But then is someone paying you to book everything else?
No, so that's the best part is like clients don't pay travel agents. The vendors will pay travel agents. And so like if I booked you on a cruise, like if you went on a Royal Caribbean cruise, like you're gonna pay the same price or less with me, but I will get paid by Royal Caribbean. So
Gotcha.
if you book directly with Royal Caribbean, they're gonna charge you the same amount or more, and then they'll just pocket all the extra. Like that doesn't go to anybody, that just
And
goes
if they
back
have
into
an
Royal
issue,
Caribbean.
and if they have an issue there, they have to go be the ones and deals with it versus Jessica.
Yes.
That
Right.
makes okay, cool.
Yeah.
You're educating me on this. I've never had a job like that's awesome. That's awesome. That's definitely a a good understanding on what you do and how you do it all. So then how can people get a hold of you on this? I'm gonna share, I'm gonna put in the show notes as well, and then I'll also post it when I post it to the community as well, just like how to get a hold of you and all that good stuff. So anything you want to throw out right now that we can reach you at?
Yeah, I mean, you can text me. My phone number is 512-653-2420. You can text me anytime. But if they want to reach out to me by email, it's anytimesummertravel@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, like I said, I will add that in the
And
show
you have a
notes as
Facebook
well as the community.
account?
Yes, I have a Facebook business page that's the same name, Anytime Summer Travel.
And a TikTok.
And a TikTok
And a
with
TikTok
two
and an
whole
Instagram.
videos.
Cool videos. Awesome. Well, I'm excited to follow you. We'll make sure we're definitely following you and shouting you out with it. Again, thanks for, I always say this on anybody's reviews or anytime that I've ever worked with somebody is thanks for your trust in, Thriving Lives, your trust in Renee and being vulnerable and opening, with your story and sharing here on this call tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course, of course. Renee, you got anything else to add? Jessica, you got anything else to add?
No, like I said,
No.
she's the best. Happy to have her.
I'm glad you feel that way because you're stuck with me.
Anybody else on the call have any questions, thoughts? Trying to book a trip right now? Want to get connected with Jessica? If you have any questions or anything that kind of popped up along this call, throw it in the chat real quick or unmute yourself and let us hear it. Otherwise, we will be letting you guys go. If you have any follow-up questions afterwards, if you want me to, help you get connected with Jessica, I can also make that happen too. All right. All right, friends. Well, Jessica, again, thank you so much for your time. Thanks for everybody for
Yes,
being on
thank
the
you.
call. Renee, thank you as well. Great questions as well. And yeah, Jessica, keep kicking ass.
Thanks. I will.
Of course, of course. All right, I'll see you guys later. You have a good rest of your week. Thanks again for tonight.
Bye.
Bye.